Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call to order February 25th PZBA regular meeting at 7:02. Jan, roll call, please.
Chairman Kempa.
Here.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Here.
Commissioner Patel.
Here.
Commissioner Sayward. Here. Commissioner Simmons.
Here.
Commissioner Mashevsky.
Here.
Commissioner Kiefer.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item is to approve the minutes from January 28th meeting. Does anybody have any corrections or additions to the minutes as presented? If there are not, can I please have a motion to approve the January 28th meeting minutes as presented at 7:03?
So moved. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I have to abstain.
Abstain. No opposed, one abstain. All right. We have one case today. It's a PZBA case number 26-03 SU PUD. It's a public hearing to reestablish a SU PUD for a 69-unit townhome development. The applicant is Nader Capital Services, and at 1001 and 999 Oak Avenue in Prospect Heights. And the description of the request, the applicant is seeking to reestablish the previously approved ordinance number O-20-37, granting a special use and PUD for a 69-unit townhome development. The previous approval expired per section 5-10-9J. Can I please have a motion to open case number 26-03 SU PUD at 7:04?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sayward.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Kiefer.
Here.
Commissioner
Aye.
Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner Kiefer, you want to try that one again?
Aye.
Yeah. Commissioner Mashevsky. Chairman Kempa.
Aye. All right. Full house today. That's great. Director Peterson, do you want to give a summary of this case and refresh
Yes.
everybody on the board of what has been done previously?
A little, before I get into that, housekeeping, Nader Capital has submitted a Exhibit 12, which they're replacing the published Exhibit 10. It's the same thing with some minor corrections, so we will not have an Exhibit 10. So this will be on there. All these exhibits are on the city's website. So, little history. In 2019, Lexington Homes approached the city about a potential development at the old Jolly Funhouse property at 1001 Oak Avenue. The city saw merit in the project, and Lexington held an open house out at Mirror Park to address citizen concerns and questions. The applicant, Lexington, represented by Nate Weinsbaugh, then proceeded to apply for a rezoning of the property from R1 to R2, and then also a special use to establish a PUD to create a 69-unit townhome subdivision. At the same time, he applied for a 61-unit townhome subdivision. Based on the fact that the 69-unit was approved, Lexington withdrew the smaller project. There were a public hearing in the summer of 2020 that resulted in a primary hearing and 3 subsequent special meetings before the Zoning Board of Appeals ultimately recommended approval of the rezoning, the PUD with 3 minor yard variations and a setback variation. and recommended approval to the city council. In October, late in 2020, the city council at a meeting approved the PUD, or the rezoning PUD and development plan. From that point on, the applicant diligently worked to establish a TIF district, which the city granted the development based upon the development plan. The primary issues were related to they had to build a private community well. There was a major stormwater management improvements. They were also going to be putting in fire hydrants and fire sprinkler throughout the buildings. And then as part of the benefits of the TIF district, Mirror Park was going to be rebuilt. Drake Terrace subdivision, a small portion of that, which has some water detention issues, was going to benefit from improved stormwater management improvements towards the end of the project, and that the city was also going to install sidewalks to have a safe route to Wheeling High School. The project was moving forward. All the various TIF ordinances were approved, all the agreements were set. Because of the timing of it, the applicant did receive an extension at one point in time to continue the PUD. 6 months later, all the agreements were done, so now we're into year 2. And then in early 2023, the final TIF ordinance resolution was adopted. And therefore, this applicant could go forward. At that point in time, for various reasons, they couldn't close on the property. Okay, so everything that's approved, and the city approved it, the ordinances, the TIF districts, the development plan are already approved. The only thing tonight that we're considering is, do we reestablish it? Because the period of validity is that if a project sits for more than 12 consecutive months, it loses its validity to come forward. From 2020 through 2023, the applicant diligently worked to try and get the project going. So fast forward to now, the property has been for sale. There's been no activity on it. The activity we have had is uses that aren't necessarily what the city is looking for. Nader Capital Services approached the city that they had a contract to purchase Jolly Funhouse Academy, which, for everybody's understanding, that is 2 separate parcels owned by 2 separate individuals. The individual is a private owner who owns the 5 acres of Jolly Funhouse property, 1001 Oak, and the Park District owns 999 Oak Avenue, which is the southern half of the park. So the applicant, because of the approvals, has agreed to take the project as is and move forward to it and reestablish the approved subdivision and plans that was already debated and public testimony was given, and you're good to give comment again tonight. But it's not to debate the validity of the project, it's to see whether or not we should reestablish it. That going forward is what's before us tonight. The applicant, Nader Capital Services, have to get zoning approval to be able to close upon the property, which will take it to the next step. That's why we are here tonight. So after the hearing here, then this body, the Zoning Board of Appeals, will make a recommendation either to approve it, approve with conditions, or recommend denial, which will be forwarded to the City Council. And then the City Council ultimately will make a decision based upon the recommendations of this body. So tonight, it's not we're here just to see if this is to reestablish that use so that the plan that was previously approved under ordinance 2037 can go forward in the development plan. So I believe I've covered all the bases on this tonight. The applicants will testify to what they're here to, and Nader Capitals, and Dennis, I don't apologize for butchering the last name, Strayevsky, is here along with the representation to make a presentation. Representative from Lexington Homes, who has as the development holder, has the right to assign the project as he wishes to move forward. So that's who's here. They're going to testify and explain what their plans are going to be and that, and then you'll have a chance to ask questions of the project. But it's just not, the engineering's already been reviewed. All the testimony, all the exhibits that were presented in 2020 are still the official record of that case, which is the official record of this case. All that information can be found on the city's website. If you go on the city's website and you type in Muir Park, PZBA Muir Park, it'll come up and it'll show you all the exhibits, and it'll give you links to every document, all the engineering reports, all the letters, all the documents that were debated and deliberated over in 2020. Not right now. You'll have your opportunity here in a minute, please. So all of it is still public record. It's still for public consumption, and it'll give you all the engineering details, all the layouts, the landscaping plans that were originally represented. There's reference to those in this included. They only did a handful of the principal exhibits today as part of their packet, but all those other exhibits are still valid exhibits. The traffic engineering report, the engineering report, civil engineering from Hager Engineering, the Dixon landscaping plan, the fire district approval, all of those plans are still part of this record because it's not the development itself that's being debated tonight. Is there enough merit here with this new developer to move the approved plan forward and to reestablish the validity of the special use?
I think it just mattered is that basically the development's not changing, we're just getting the ownership.
Yeah, the development's not changing, it's an ownership change, and because of delay in that happening, that's why we have to reestablish the SUP. With that, Chairman?
If the applicant is present, can I swear you in, and you could give us your presentation? Do you swear that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
We do.
Thank you. When you come up, if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Chairman, just for some housekeeping purposes, we have an affidavit that Dennis wants to demonstrating that we've satisfied the notice requirements under the Village City Ordinance. Perhaps I missed it, but has Dan submitted the proof that it was put in the newspaper in a timely fashion? And also that the sign was posted. And then something Mr. Hess reminded me of. Could we have all of the exhibits that are part of the former case relevant to this matter admitted as Group Exhibit 1?
I don't see why not when we get to that point, though. Yes.
All right, so if that's a continuing request, when it's appropriate, I'd appreciate it. So we're going to have,
Okay.
besides myself, we're going to have 3 speakers. First of all, I want to thank you. I'm Tom Burney. I'm an attorney in the Chicago metropolitan area. I had the pleasure of representing Lexington when we came back in 2020. We were in the midst of COVID, so as everybody in the room remembers, we were doing it all remotely. It wasn't the best way to do it, so it's nice to all be in the same room together. We all tried really, really hard to get this done, and we're very grateful council, to the past members of the zoning board of appeals, I know you're a planning and zoning board, and the city council for approving this development and crafting conditions which we believe address the legitimate concerns that were expressed by the neighbors. As Dan so eloquently put, this the R2 zoning is in place. We are not revisiting that. This ground remains zoned R2, and the city, your recommendations, your findings that R2 zoning is appropriate stand, and effectively both this body and the city council found that the rezoning of this ground R2 promoted the public health, safety, and welfare. As Dan said, Lexington invested substantial sums of money to get all of the things done that needed to be done. And this was is and was a very complicated project. So going through the special use process, and if I remember, there were at least 3 meetings, going to the city council, doing and establishing a TIF and working with the taxing districts to come to an agreement with them, and then entering into an RDA, redevelopment agreement with the city that provided the liabilities and rights of Lexington Homes, and negotiating a purchase and sale agreement with the Prospect Heights Park District, which is an entity that doesn't have, this is not part of their regular course of action, so this took longer than we thought. And so we get through this whole process, and we find that the seller has grown impatient with us, and her impatience has led her to ask for prices that just were not reasonable. And so we unfortunately fell out of contract, and we all felt bad about it. I mean, there was a lot of effort, a lot of sweat equity that both the city and Lexington put into this, and it didn't come to pass. But fortunately, Nieder Capital has stepped up and wants to, and is here to request the reinstatement of this planned development and to move forward under the reinstatement would be to approve exactly what you did as part of the planned development or maybe it's nearly 6 years ago, 5.5 years ago. And that's what we're here to do. So in connection with that request, we're going to present 3 witnesses. So we're going to present Nate Weinsma. And Nate is here to say that Lexington stands ready to pass the baton and do what needs to be done, reaching an agreement with Nieder in terms of the rights and obligations that they secured for this development. And that, this will probably be the last time you see Nate. Sorry about that, Nate. Then you're going to hear from Dennis Straviewski, and I butcher his name all the time too, but he's just going to have to deal with it. He is going to tell you about Nieder Capital, and they do have a vision here, an aspiration that perhaps after we have reestablished the plan development, that they may come in for some modifications to that plan, and it's going to be up to staff and your attorney to determine whether those qualify as minor modifications, and if they do, they can proceed with development. If it doesn't, then we very well may have to come back here to run it past you and the city council to see if you agree. So you'll see some references to front-loaded garages. That's not what we're proposing today. We're proposing the very same product, but everybody's got a different idea, and so Nieder needs to know that the city stands behind this plan development. Its lender needs to know that the city stands behind this the plan development, and therefore that's why we're here. There are several conditions that were attached to this, and the one that I wanted to just highlight, because it was certainly a concern in the neighborhood, was the impact on their wells. And there is a specific condition that requires the city engineer to confirm, to certify that we're bringing in a private water system and building our own water system. And the city engineer is going to review everything that we have done. We're going to have to go to the EPA, and it's going to have to confirm that there will not be any impact in terms of the wells in the neighborhood to the north. So with all of that, there's one other ask I have, and that is that after Dennis, or Nate, Dennis, and the third speaker is Carolyn Schofield, Schofield. Carolyn has sat as a Plan Commission member of the City of Crystal Lake. She was actually a Planning and Zoning Committee member of Crystal Lake, a City Council member of Crystal Lake, and just more recently a County Board member in McHenry County. She's very conversant with land use, and I was fortunate to be able to work with her, and we've been working together for maybe the last 9 months. So she is going to describe the plan, just to remind everybody of what it is that's the plan that we approved. And the ask I have is that you let us finish our presentation. I don't think it's going to take more than 15 minutes, and then we'll field every question that you and the audience have. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Dennis?
That's what.
Good evening, members of the board.
Sorry, Nate, I'm confused. Dennis, I'm confused. Nate?
Want to go first?
I think Dennis, how about if you pass, hand those to the clerk? Thanks, Nate.
Where's the clerk?
Me.
Thank you very much.
And then Nate.
Okay. Thanks. Hi, good evening. My name is Nate Weinsma. I'm with Lexington Homes.
Can you spell your last name for the record, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Wynsma.
Thank you.
We are not the applicant tonight, but we are the previous applicant, and we're here a number of times before this body and the city council subsequent to that. As Director Peterson explained, this was a long, drawn-out process, and it was a complicated and complex process that, as he identified, involves both the private property and the Park District property. There are significant, in our world of development and construction, we label them as extraordinary costs related to a development like this that is out of the norm. Those primary ones being that there is no water available from a public source, so there needs to be a private water system. That was one of the first things we tackled and dug into and had some limited experience with, and worked our way through that. There are significant soil conditions on the property that go back to, I suppose, the beginning of time or some evolution of time, whereby there's a significant amount of peat, not organic material that's not stable or suitable for construction, that needs to be removed, built back up with structural soil. So there were just a number of things that, as we developed a plan for the property at that time, we kind of had to tackle those one at a time. That also led to the development or the establishment of a tax increment finance district to help to incentivize development of the property and subsidize some of those extraordinary costs. That also then led us into a very detailed redevelopment agreement that you deal with possibly the average annexation agreement or builder agreement, development agreement, redevelopment agreement, covered all the same typical things that a PUD would have established as far as obligations by the developer, participation by the city, and then requirement of your ordinances and codes. In this case, they had the added layer of the TIF and all the obligations and liabilities related to that. All that to be said, as Director Peterson pointed out, all that got approved at what was really a preliminary level, meaning the zoning was established, the plans were approved, with everything related to engineering, landscape, architecture, all those standards for right-of-ways and setbacks and height and things like that were established in that agreement, and it was all approved. And then it took some time beyond that to get the TIF enacted. And all that to be said, we have spent a number of years at this project, and we would otherwise typically be here before you as the developer saying we look forward to building it ourselves and enjoying the success of that. In this case, we were not able to ourselves reestablish a contract to purchase the property. So we have made ourselves available to the city, to the brokerage community, to a couple of previous parties that were interested in developing the property, with the intent to collaborate and cooperate in the process of assignment of what was established, to, as Tom said, pass the baton on to someone else to develop and build this. And we're happy tonight that we believe we've got a group that is diligently working to do just that, to see this become a real development and a successful development at that. And so as the previous petitioner who worked to establish all of what Tom alliterated and Director Peterson, that's been previously established, to reestablish that in order that the new applicant can move forward. We are here for the duration. You may not see me again, but Lexington behind the scenes is working with Nieder to ensure that whatever stumbling blocks there may be and established approvals that need to be assigned in order that they can continue forward in our absence. There were a number of, as you can imagine, approvals and documents that specifically are in the name of Lexington Homes that need to be assigned over to the new developer. So we're here to cooperate with them and the city, and through that process, hopefully assign it in such a way that it can continue forward under something as complicated as it is. It's really a simple reestablishment or reinstitution of what was already approved. So I will be happy to answer any questions as well. My memory on the project is as foggy as everybody else's at times, but I've spent a lot of time with this, so I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So should we let us go and then we'll, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Nate.
What do you want?
David already sworn in.
Jen, do you have Patrick is the PowerPoint? Okay, Jen's gonna have control, so if you just let her, she can advance it for you.
Sure.
But you're going to spell your last name for the record
Sure,
first.
of course, of course. My last name is spelled S-T-R-A-T-I-E-V-S-K-Y.
Question for you, Dennis, do you want to start with the part of Nate, or are you gonna go through the other exhibits?
Let's just focus on that, or I'll introduce myself and our history.
Okay.
And
Can you go to exhibit 12? It's probably a separate. Yep, thank you.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the chance to speak with you all tonight. And to introduce myself, my name is Dennis Stradievsky of Nader Capital Services. Our company is local, Wheeling-based. We're actually just down the road, our office is. We've got a team of managers and a whole lot of construction people. Throughout our developmental expertise and history, we have accumulated a wealth of equipment as well as knowledge on how to deliver the right product. And we hope to bring a new standard of community to Prospect Heights and its residents. We can scroll through the presentation. There are current projects as well as some renderings and then current pictures and descriptions of each. I'm open to questions. This is our Wheeling project, one of 2 Wheeling projects. This is 66 townhome development that is located in Prairie Park. It's off of Milwaukee Avenue, probably 7 minutes, 10 minutes from here. It's an aerial, and then next slide is progress picture from about 3 months ago. We have Des Plaines project. This is our secondary Wheeling project. It is a mixed-use building with 3 commercial tenants and 55 well-appointed modern residences above. And this is a prospective project that we are currently under entitlements for in the city of Downers Grove. It's to be 180 to 200 prospective student housing units for the Physicians College of Midwestern. And that's it. I'd like to pass it along to my colleague. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation.
Sorry.
Good evening, I'm Carolyn Schofield, I'll spell it again, S-C-H-O-F-I-E-L-D. I am the entitlement manager with the law offices of Tom Burney. And so we just want to get to the next one, and I'll just start describing the project location. I wanted to share a little bit of background and some of the highlights of the project that was previously approved, just to refresh everyone's memory. So the project is located south of Hintz Road and east of Elmhurst Road. You can see it in the yellow that's on there. And it is 5.2 acres. Located on the now vacant and former Jolly Fun House Academy. So the next slide. The next slide shows the proposed site plan, which consists of 69 units, including 12 buildings with 4 to 6 units each on that 5.2 acre parcel adjacent to Muir Park. So the next slide shows renderings of elevations that were approved, and Dennis just showed you some of the actual work and real life photos of the quality of their product that they do at Nader. And this is showing a 2.5-story front on the units, and then if you go to the next slide, it will show it's actually 3 stories on the back with the 2-car garages, and it shows the side views of the elevations as well. So on the next slide, this is landscaping that will be around the side and front elevations of the buildings with foundational plantings along all of those. And then the next one shows the extensive landscape plan, which has the larger landscaping, including the trees and shrubs provided around the perimeter of the project to complement the architecture of these buildings. And it includes additional landscaping on the north property line to buffer the homes in that area. And here, previously, the Park District had agreed to a land swap of 0.6 acres on Muir Park with the existing parcel, and that portion is shown here on the left, and then it's shown blown up on the right there, showing that continued desire for that land swap. Right now, Nader has been diligently working with the Park District to come to an agreement, as they previously did, and they're engaged in ongoing conversations with the Park District for this land swap, as you can see here in that diagram. And here's closer to included in the project was Nader having a commitment to a significant amount of park improvements on Muir Park. And they will continue to work through what the details of those improvements will look like as they continue those discussions with the Park District.
Carolyn, may I interrupt a second? There is a little difference between the original site plan that was shown before and that one there. During discussions with the Park District, they asked for the parking lot to be moved to give more space for the field and to do additional parking to meet the park requirements for parking and the extra guest parking potentially from the townhomes. So that was a after-the-fact negotiated so that the Park District picked up extra parking space.
Thank you.
Could we go back to the landscape plan, Carolyn? Would you just point out the detention pond and it lies to the bottom of, it's that large area, is that correct? It's in green? Okay, and is it your?
Tom?
Yes.
Hate to say it, but if you're going to speak, you need to come up, please.
Yeah, I would say it, but I don't know where he's going with it, so.
So, maybe I'll just testify instead of questioning. That is a significant improvement and investment in the community, that detention pond, because the water runs from the west across this property to the east, and you will probably recall the folks in Wheeling complaining about their detention systems and that they have to maintain that, and that this development might overload that system. And so we have committed to this significant detention facility, which is not only going to serve our development, serve Muir Park, but also take the water that's coming from Wheeling across our property, and that will ultimately go into Wheeling. And as I said to Dan, you think Wheeling would be pretty grateful to us and they'd give us some water, but that's just not in the cards. So I just wanted to stop and say that, because that was coming out loud and clear in the hearings the last time too, about the detention system as well as the wells. And that's how we've gone about accommodating that. And Dan, thank you for clarifying the business about the park plan.
Is the orange dot?
Excuse me, sir. Not
Sir.
right now.
Oh, that was just the cursor, I think, on there, yeah.
And maybe just in a final statement, just to indicate that we agree to all of the conditions that the former Planning Commission and Village Board adopted in connection with this development, and would ask that they be incorporated into any recommendation that you make. And of course, what we hope is that we come out of this body with a positive recommendation to the Village Board to reestablish this preliminary plan development.
You stole my thunder on that one.
I did, I'm sorry.
I will officially, like on that last slide, I was done with my slides, but I did want to officially thank Director Peterson. He has done a great job in assisting and us following through this process, and thank all of you for your attention and your time. And I will again respectfully request a positive recommendation to the City Council for case 26-03 with the reestablishment of the special use and planned unit development for 69-unit townhome development, and reaffirm finding of facts that the PZBA determined as having been met for essentially the same special use and planned unit development. So thank you. And are you going to come back? Or we're all good. So any questions then? Thank you.
Any questions from the commissioners to the applicant at this time, or if not?
I had a quick question. Is there any fencing?
Hold it, we can do it now. You have a question?
I did.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I had a question on the west end of the property up along the apartments. Is there a plan for a fence of any type over there that separates those apartments to the townhomes? Is that?
What was the question, Neil? I'm sorry.
I could stand up. Right here.
Yeah, I think that was, the details of that would have been in the landscape plan. And to my knowledge, there was landscaping planned along that perimeter, but not solid fence.
Landscaping, that's all.
Correct. Yep.
And I see this plan's different than the proposed site plan that has 69 with the softball or baseball field and the additional parking.
Yeah, if you could go back, I think it was to just the
That
park
one.
plan.
It's the other way.
Oh, there you go.
That's right way, I think.
Next one. There.
Right there, yeah.
No, this one's still different.
Which
Yeah.
one?
So this plan was developed specifically for the Park District, but was incorporated as an alternative to the overall site plan with the same rectangular parking lot. They wanted originally there was a cul-de-sac that had a flare of parking around the outer circle.
Is that this one?
Preferred that.
Yes.
Yes. The Park District preferred that where that stub met the parkland, that it come into a rectangular parking area with more parking spaces,
Okay.
more efficient for them to operate on busy days when they've got activities. And it gave them more room then for, there was talk originally of all different types of fields or different types of uses. But I think ultimately this was the Park District's plan that they developed for the playground area, for the ball fields with you can see the rectangle inside of the outfield of the ball field is like
Yeah.
a junior soccer field. So this was kind of the establishment of our agreement with them to base all of our improvements and economic agreement with them on what would be done with the park.
Yeah, and if I could just add, like, understanding that the previous ones are renderings that, as you go through the project, they evolve. So I apologize, we didn't have current renderings that had all of that in there, but all of the information and those improvements are addressed, just not in the renderings.
So I think some of the negotiations with the Park District came after the Planning and Zoning Board and City Council. That was an ongoing thing after our approval. So what is the status right now of your negotiations with the Park District?
Okay, so
Did you ever come to an agreement of what was going to be done? And
We did come to an agreement on the final plan for what the Park District wanted and the financial contribution that we were going to be making and the in-kind improvements that we would be having and the business about shared parking. And that agreement is still valid, but the Park District wants to renegotiate some of the terms given the lapse of time and the costs that they feel have increased. So we have ongoing negotiations. They met in closed session last night. We heard, Dan heard, as I did, and Dennis from the executive director, that they want to continue the negotiations. We're supposed to receive some documents and information from them on Friday. We're told that they can basically renew or approve an agreement with 2 days notice on an agenda, and that they would act, and we understand that the City Council wants a firm understanding of where the Park District is. So we're very hopeful. We would have hoped to have had it inked today, but they're moving pretty quickly. So
okay, thank you.
Is the pond detention basin going to be a detention basin, or will it potentially be a retention?
the retention business. Go ahead, Dan.
That was designed by Hager Engineering to hold water and restrict water at times of heavy rainfall. The issue came up during the testimony and design is how to protect the downstream side, the east side of the property in Wheeling, who under Wheeling's rules are responsible for the maintenance of their own detention and stormwater in their neighborhoods. So that pond has been designed and sized to accommodate all the water produced on the site and accept the water that comes from Wheeling to the west.
So,
The
do you
question,
understand the difference between detention and retention? It's one holds the water.
the retention holds water, the detention basin will be dry. The reason I ask, if you're putting up next to a park, are we worried about kids next to a retention versus detention?
It's
Well, I'm worried about kids next to it. So is it dry or is it holding water?
It'll temporarily hold water like the rest of the Prospect Heights does in the drainage ditches and the other parks and low areas of the town, but it's designed to drain down to a dry basin most of the time.
Yeah, Now, most recently, the codes and ordinances have probably been updated. They update them constantly. So any treatment of bottom would have, depending on the inundation periods, would have maybe a wetland bottom type planting, but not an open body of water.
Yeah, that's, I know you'll have, it's called detention on here, I just wanted to verify.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have MWRD and the whole process will go through,
Yeah.
so.
And that may have been updated since approval.
And for your reference, Commissioner Patel, the Hager engineering plans are on the city's website, the full set.
Any other questions for the applicant at this time?
This might be a question for the applicant and for Director Peterson. If you could just give us an update of the status of the TIF. What has been done so far on that? And you kind of we revisited the details of it, but just if you could confirm what the status is of the TIF.
The TIF was established and recorded and has been collecting increment from the 28 properties that are within the northern or the southern part of Drake Terrace. When the city established the TIF, it was very minimal. We did not want to do the whole Drake Terrace community, identified that area that we identified had some drainage and detention issues, and then incorporated. Subsequently, as the property this Jolly Funhouse property got rezoned, it then took it out of its tax exempt status, and that property now is on the Cook County tax rolls, and it's contributing to the TIF as well. This Park District parcel, the 4.23 acres, is still tax exempt because it's owned by the Park District. So there has been increment generated to help do some of the improvements that are being talked. And for the duration of the TIF, the taxes were held at a level to go to the other taxing bodies. The increment that's generated over the life of the TIF goes to help offset some of the established extraordinary costs of the project and do public benefit, like the whole rebuild of and modernization of Muir Park, this previously discussed future stormwater issues in the Drake Terrace neighborhood, and we did commit to a sidewalk to connect Drake Terrace to Wheeling High School, which is part of the public improvements. And then the other public improvement was a significant stormwater management facility on site. So those are the public benefactors of the TIF district. And it is establishing collecting increment as we speak.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the applicant.
You're welcome.
Tom, would you like to make your request to the chairman at this time for the previous?
I would. We would ask that all of the exhibits that have been, that were presented as part of the original plan development approval be admitted into evidence as Group Exhibit 1. I believe that Dan has assembled those on a website or how?
There are all the exhibits on the website, including special exhibits. Any reference to the 61 unit project are not valid, but everything else still is valid to this. And it has copies of the testimony, it has the emails, it has the various other documents that were submitted on site, and those can all be looked up, like I said, at the city's website at PZBA Muir Park. All those exhibits are listed, and there's about 54 exhibits.
Shouldn't correct me, but anything that's attached to that PZBA4 link, we would ask to be treated as Petitioners Group Exhibit 1. And then there's a PowerPoint that we presented today, and we'd ask that that be considered Exhibit 2, Petitioners Exhibit 2.
We did it as Exhibit 12.
12.
To replace Exhibit 10, which was previously. So.
Okay, well, you're way ahead of me, so thank you.
Yes, we will make this a condition to where all of the previous exhibit in relative to the 69 unit development originally presented with Lexington will be grouped as Group Exhibit 1 for this new application.
Good, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And then we've been through public comment before, and we realize there's questions, and then there's comment, and sometimes people get confused about it. We're not gonna make any objection to it, but could we just take all the questions and then answer them at one time rather than every time somebody asks us a question? Would that be acceptable to you?
I think within reason, we might have to be.
Who's going to record those questions?
So it's going to, well, I think they're saying they'll answer them tonight, but they're going to, so I think it's going to be up to the applicant. But
The questions directed to the applicant will be directed to the applicant. Questions directed to staff could be directed to staff for clarification, but we are not testifying to the merits of the case. We're just to the code.
Yeah, I'm just saying, instead of like gentleman A gets up and asks a question and then we come back up, can we keep track of the questions and then answer them?
We'll try.
We don't have a recording secretary.
It's-
I can do it. I'm the one that for us, I can do it.
All right. Okay, thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
It's going to be up to the board to make sure that they hear the questions, they get the answers, and they're satisfied. Or if they're
We
not
want the
getting-
public to get the answers that they're asking for, and I can't record every question and have it answered all at the same time. So I would prefer to have the questions answered as they appear.
That's fine.
You might want to tell them that.
Yeah,
And then you want to make sure that anybody who's going to get up and testify, you can swear them in as a group instead of having individuals.
so I'm going to try to do that at this time.
And then also remind them that they don't have to repeat. If they're going to say the same thing, just say agree with the previous statement.
All right, so for anybody that would like to speak to this case, I would like to swear you all in at the same time. And I just clarified that if your questions will be, since we don't have a mechanism to record your questions and have them answered all after everybody has testified, we'll ask the applicant to answer, either applicant or the staff, to answer those questions as they come up. The one request that I have is if there is, if you have the same comment as the previous speaker, it will be recorded, but we would, for the sake of time, and I'll sit here all night if I need to, but for the sake of time, if you share a comment, mention that you're sharing the comment with the previous speaker.
Or you can nominate someone as a group.
Oh, yeah, or if you want to nominate a person as a group, if a group wants to nominate a speaker, then that would be acceptable as well. And one other thing is that when you come up, I would ask you to, again, state your name and address for the record and spell it if the name is difficult. So without further ado, for all those who want to testify today, can I have you stand up and swear that? Do you swear that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you.
Just go in order.
Yeah, well, welcome to come up as you feel ready.
Whatever, would like to go first.
Hello, my name's Joe Kamisik, K-M-I-E-C-I-K. I live at 600 Equestrian Drive, Wheeling. My interest in this project is I'm worried about the development of a parkland that adjoins my property, and I'd be interested in purchasing land from the Park District because my background is in ornamental horticulture, and I feel I could do a better job developing some of that land rather than whatever the developer would have a landscaper do. I don't know if that's possible, but that's what my interest is. I've worked with Bertog Landscaping in Wheeling, Mariani Landscaping in Lake Bluff, and I've also used Save a Tree for their arborist work. That's where I'm at. Thank you.
Sir, are you on the east property line then?
I would be at the south end of Muir Park.
Okay, thank you. That corner.
Yeah, my property actually adjoins both Muir Park and 4-acre park that Wheeling has.
Kind
Are you
of,
involved with landscaping and wheeling as well?
No, I did that many years ago. I just do it now as a home gardener. But I've got a degree in ornamental horticulture. So I feel I could provide a much more interesting blend of plants along that property line. Because right now it's, as you all know, it's forested, but a lot of it is invasive plants. Probably a good percentage of it. I recently, this past year, I had some pruning work done on the trees that overhang my property, and a lot of the trees that are along that fence line are invasive species that really aren't native to our area. They've just taken over.
And I think that's been part of the landscape plan and the documents that were part of the exhibits. They called out the invasive species as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, I'm just more concerned about what actual plant species they'd be replacing in there and how many versus what I could do. Thank you.
Thank you.
you want to answer that?
No, go ahead, please.
Thank you for your comments and your offer. However, the park property is owned by the Prospect Heights Park District, not the city of Prospect Heights. So that would be the avenue to go to for that next step. And we'll be sure to mark your comments in because it's a very good offer. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Victoria Douzamy, Douzamy. I live at 1101 North Maple in the Drake community. My question is, I'm aware that you would be considering putting in sidewalk on 83, but with increased traffic, both construction and residential vehicles, how are we going to protect our kids with no sidewalks and no street lights on our side streets?
Tom, you want to address that and explain it as best you can?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where, you're just referencing Elmhurst Road, 83, or the neighborhood?
The neighborhood.
Drake.
As far as I'm aware, access to this neighborhood will be through our neighborhood.
Drake Terrace, yes.
And construction vehicles as well as tenants will provide a fair amount of increased traffic flow down the streets. And kids are kids, and they ride around, they don't have lights, they're in the street, they've got bikes, they're on foot, they're on scooters, and it's hard enough to see my neighbors walking their dogs at night. So
we did present a traffic study that it by a very well-respected traffic engineer that established, did you have a chance to look at that? That established that the traffic, and they measured in the peak hour, the traffic that was generated from the school is comparable, perhaps even greater than the traffic that's going to be generated from here. As far as construction traffic, Nate, this is not the first time that Lexington has faced that, so could you just describe what you do as a builder to protect and address the lady's comments?
Yeah, I think most of it's driven by code, by enforcement of the city, as far as the hours of operation, construction traffic, if there is during the period that there's land development or construction going on, If any traffic control that's required is going to be, I would imagine, under the jurisdiction of the city. If it's out on 83 for some reason, then it might be county jurisdiction or state, but from that perspective, it would be controlled by city ordinance. And then on-site, we have, as part of our engineering plan, sidewalks, street lights for the on-site improvements, but I can't really speak to the balance of city infrastructure off of our property.
And oftentimes these communities have something called a development agreement, where the city and the developer work together to come up with a plan to address these issues. This is the first time this has happened, so, and I don't have the statistics, but we believe that it can be handled in a safe manner.
So it sounds like there is not currently a plan for sidewalks and streetlights in the Drake Terrace area, but there would be in the development, and there would be on 83. And is there some way that we can bridge?
At this point in time, that was addressed during the previous testimony, and the city, because that Drake Terrace neighborhood was an unplanned neighborhood in terms of neighborhood community planning, that's all a semi-rural drainage ditch system, and that's not there. The traffic study did show, as Attorney Bernie, that the school actually presented a higher impact, fairly equal, but that than what the townhome would offer. What we stated at that time is that the developer, in this case Nader, will have to produce to us a construction timing plan, traffic plan that we would have to approve, and we would notify the neighborhood of what that plan is. Deviations from that would get enforcement from the building department and the engineering department. Also, too, they would be subject to any type of notices and citations at the police department. But currently, there are no plans on the books to install storm sewer because in that neighborhood, because there's nowhere to take it, and or street lighting and sidewalks. In just a minute, let's let her finish if she has other questions.
No, just concerns, because it is dark and it is dangerous, and knowing that not necessarily, so I hear the construction vehicles being addressed, but additional tenants, assuming possibly 2 vehicles per living space, so 120 extra vehicles or more passing through that area morning and night, and our kids are not careful.
If you get a chance, I'd recommend that you go onto the city's website, look up exhibit number 16. It's the KLOA traffic study. It has all the traffic measurements, all the analysis related to your question. And
you can't also measure the traffic of children on bicycles making bad choices.
You can't do that anywhere.
No.
And believe me, I've had 2 that, knock on wood, have made it to adulthood and that, but this was all brought up at that other time, and the traffic analysis was presented by Louis Abuna, who is the traffic engineer for that. But that document is on the city's website. It's about 142 pages. Yes. But your comments are noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Hardik Soni. I live at 1150 Honeysuckle in Wheeling.
Can you spell your name for the record, please?
Hardik Soni.
Okay. Jim, did you get his?
HARDIKSONI.
Correct.
1150 Honeysuckle.
Correct.
Could we put up the aerial that shows the property so we get a sense of where all the speakers are coming from, one of the early slides?
Keep going, Ben.
I would be at your property border, would be a lot number 116 on your drawing. My question is specific to stormwater management. So in the event of a heavy rain, oftentimes there's a pool of water where you'll have the detention pond situated. My question is, will there be an increase in the direction or the volume of the water flowing to the east, affecting the neighboring area?
The design of that, which was testified to by Hager Engineering, was to put a restrictor valve in the bottom of that basin to control the water. That's why it's a part, sometime wet, sometime dry basin to control, so the impacts to the neighbors to the east would be measured. It wouldn't just be the onslaught, and it was designed to be less than what the current overland flowage is.
Okay. Does that translate to an increase in volume to the property situated at the east?
That was testified to, that it would have a volume, but the amount of volume would be delayed, so it would be manageable, so it wouldn't create the unregulated onslaught of unrestricted water.
Will there be additional measurements or controls in place to prevent any overflow in the direction of my property?
At this time, the final engineering, because right now the preliminary engineering and preliminary approvals show that it's not going to be impacted, the applicant will still have to present final engineering.
All right. Thank you. Just one more question. Are there plans to put a retention or some sort of a retention wall along the boundary of the property?
There is currently a call for a retaining wall on the east property from the north property down to about halfway down the detention basin.
Great. Thank you. One more question.
To further your answer, I know most of you guys have stormwater concerns. I'm in construction, and one thing I know about construction of this type of development, MWRD gets involved, which is a government entity that's just for stormwater, in essence. And when you have this type of development, they typically, and they won't let a development go and make the situation worse. They make you improve the situation you're dealing with currently. So, in essence, if it goes the way it's supposed to, which we believe it will, they will make them design and put infrastructure in place which helps your stormwater system, not makes it worse. Just let you know.
That was my understanding as well. I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that. Hopefully it will make improvements.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mary Jean Meyer, M-E-I-E-R.
Address?
I live at 1101 Oak. I have a comment about the traffic study. It was done in February, and the school was closed. It had already been closed for years. So I don't believe that traffic study was accurate, and it was done in February when nobody was walking around. Maybe that needs to be redone. I also don't understand what the purpose of this meeting is. Is there something that needs to be approved? Are we wasting our time here? You guys seem like you're already decided that this is going through because of 5 years ago. 5 years is a long time
To answer
redo this.
To answer your question, there's a part of the special use ordinance requires special uses to not linger, okay? And the developer diligently worked from the time the approval was done in 2022 to through 2023 to try and execute the sale and purchase of the property. And we've had other people interested in the same plan. But according to the zoning code, section 9-5-9 or 10-9, paragraph J, if the authorized special use is discontinued for a period of 12 months, it becomes not valid. So the development plan is there. It's the reestablishment of the already approved to give the new purchaser an opportunity to execute the approved plan that was there.
So the changing in the zoning stays at R2?
It's already been recorded, and it's already R2. Someone could come in tomorrow and apply for a multifamily apartment building under R2. but we want to follow through with the development plan that was already approved back in 2020.
I'd kind of like to know how this fits with the newsletter that came out, where the mayor talks about us being a semi-rural community and how that character is good, and how 69 townhomes is going to keep with that semi-rural atmosphere, especially in a neighborhood that has 70-plus homes on half-acre lots.
The owner of the property has the right to sell that property and the development of that property, and to whoever the purchaser. According to the city's comprehensive plan, one of the tenets of that is to look for alternative housing, is one of the goals of the comprehensive plan, which was testified to and presented at the previous hearing. And this is the first redevelopment of, and in the first 5 years of my existence here as the director, when the Jolly Funhouse first closed, I entertained all the major single-family home builders. Not a single one was interested. And then the seller was able to bring Lexington here to do this plan, and this was the plan that was approved.
Okay, I have a question about the wetlands.
Mhm.
Are they state wetlands that need to be preserved? What, I don't understand what that part of the park and the
That was-
1001 Oak Avenue,
That's
low
part of the,
depression there, is that considered wetland?
that's the area where the, if you remember.
The detention pond.
You were involved
Correct.
in those. That was the area of the detention pond, because that was a natural flowage of where the water was going.
So
And that
then
was the
park
zone.
gets the detention pond as park property in the swap.
That's the way that the property was swapped, yes.
Right, so we lose actual park property doing that. We lose, right.
It's
It
not,
turns into
it's Park District property, and the Park District agreed to swap the land. That's a decision outside the city of Prospect Heights, okay? Because the Park District is a separate taxing body, a separate entity. And they made the decision to swap the land, and as a result of that, as was testified before and shown, there's nothing different than the other ones, is that the detention was there to improve the conditions for all those people that, in the area, and get a park that is redeveloped.
And they decided to swap the land after you rezoned it to,
No, that was part of the
Yeah.
deal. That was always part of the deal. If you go back to the exhibits and the testimony, Lexington had the land swap deal before the application. That was part of the original testimony. So that was done before it ever got to here.
so,
Park District was part of
The Park District was part of the discussions before it got here, and the Lexington Homes presented this plan with one of their options was the 69 unit and a 61 if the land swap didn't get consummated. It got consummated and agreed upon, so therefore the 69 unit project went forward. That was all part and discussed during that 2020 public, all those meetings we had. And so that's what the development plan entails and was approved by city council.
and is the traffic from the townhomes going to be restricted to Drake Terrace out to 83, or are they going to come through the rest of the streets to get out on Hints and Prospect Avenue?
That was
Do you know
also,
that?
that was also addressed in the traffic study, and it's not, at this time, there's no restrictions that were adopted by the city council on where the traffic goes to enter or exit the neighborhood, other than you've got Hints, you got Maple, you got Oak, you got Elmhurst, you got Drake.
Right, and we're all narrow streets with no sidewalks.
Understood, but that was
I just
addressed.
want to make sure everybody knows that,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
But anything we say today really isn't going to change anything, is the feeling I'm getting. Because, right.
We had, go ahead.
Sorry, so from a legal, again, I'm the attorney, I represent the city in this. When the new developer came in, they approached me and they said, there's an existing development, existing agreements, existing entitlements. What needs to happen in order for a new developer to come in and pick up where the old project left off? And analyzing the city codes, pursuant to the city codes, everything, the rezoning of the property, and some of the previous entitlements, and the agreements in the TIF district, those are already established and those do not lapse over time. However, pursuant to city code, this city, just like many other cities, pretty much every city has a similar code, is that when a special use or a variance gets approved by the zoning board, it only lasts for so long until that project begins. So my recommendation to the city was that the project already has an establishment as it relates to the redevelopment agreement, the TIF, and some of the other entitlements. However, in order for the project to move forward validly, it needs to have its special use reestablished. So essentially, at this point, the project that has all been approved and has the ability to move forward, whether it's tomorrow or a month from now, based on the zoning and all the other entitlements, can do so, except for the fact it doesn't have the special use for the planned unit development. That has staled, or has gone stale. So what the applicant here tonight is coming back to ask to revive that special use that was previously approved, that essentially lapsed after the 12-month period. So they're here not tonight necessarily to ask for new permissions for a brand new development. They're asking to reinstate or to authorize the special use that was previously granted, essentially to revive it so they can move forward with the project as it was already approved. So that's basically the basis of what is in front of everybody tonight, which is, I think, why they're not going through the large-scale presentation, because it is the same as it was, everything is the same as it was back then, as so their application states. But pursuant to city code, the one entitlement they don't have that they need to get revival of is the special use for the planned unit development.
And I vote against the special use.
And
What if they don't revive the special use? They kill the project.
Can you come up, if you have, I don't want to get involved, again, I'm the attorney, I don't really want to testify, I'm here to kind of provide, general guidance as it relates to, as this, but.
So again, if you have a question, it's best to come up, state your question, then it will get answered.
Good evening. My name's Irwin Singh, last name S-I-N-G-H. My address is 108 Eleanor Drive, Prospect Heights. And I would like to thank everybody in the village for giving us an opportunity to express our opinion. And I don't have a question or a comment, just want to reinstate that like many other residents, we were disheartened to see the green space being removed from the village and see less of that. Pros and cons aside, this project didn't kind of meets the smell test, if I say, and losing that green space forever for development seems overdevelopment, and I just want to register my comment to not, and appeal to the village to not extend this rebuilding permit. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we need to clarify that the green space is not going away. I mean, the green
Right.
space is going to be developed and improved, and the swap is actually giving just a different configuration of the green space.
As was previously, go ahead.
So, substituting upon with trees and other greenery is not a green space in my mind. That is still reduction in green space, and all the plants we lose in the process is disheartening.
Thank you.
So this is
Just-
it's at a 0.8 acre swap.
The swap parcel correctly is about 2/3 of an acre, roughly. Nate?
So just to
Just one
clarify,
second.
your comment was about the swap land, is that correct, Irvin?
No, I just,
Come on, Irvin, come on up,
all
please.
the folks that have spoken about the merits and demerits of the project, in my mind, it is not meritorious, but less of a benefit from the perspective of having in our area, a green space, where we regularly walk our dogs or go for a walk, and with extra residential space there, it's going to be more traffic and less conducive for all the activity that is possible today.
Okay. And
Yeah, just to clarify, I think the swap parcels, so the private school property that's being traded for the Park District property were equal in size. I would just point out for everybody's sake that, and I don't think it was part of our original documents of record in our submittal, but there is a document of record that I've seen. I don't recall whether it was part of our submittal in engineering or not, but the east side of the existing Muir Park, which has these invasive species trees over a lot of it, and it is a relatively wet area. A great part of that park was permitted as a detention basin back when the park was improved, and on those original engineering plans there is shown as a detention basin. I don't remember how it's referred to. It probably wasn't referred to necessarily as detention or retention, but it was a basin area. It either, to my recollection, was never fully improved to the plan that was intentionally designed for, or never maintained to that level. So when we incorporated the park land into the new constructed detention basin, that was in part replacing detention that was already on the park with a new permitted basin that would go through all the modern codes and ordinances of MWRD and those reviews. But a great deal of that was replacement of detention that was already in place on the Park District land.
thank you.
Thank you.
I really don't want to do this. My name's Steve Drake. I live at 7 Prospect Drive in Drake subdivision. It was my father and my uncles are the ones that built it. I moved here in 1959. I was only 4 years old. Been here the whole time. I love this city, and I hate it at the same time. What it's going through right now. You mentioned that everybody has a right to sell their property. That's true. But do they have a right to drop it in the middle of a subdivision? Whether it's the middle or the end. There's no roads. It's all in our subdivision. And you guys know this. And first of all, it's nice to put a face to the commissioners. Doing it over Zoom meetings was really hard. It was tough. And people got heated, but it's their home, their domain. As for Victoria's question, she was getting at the safety of the streets. And even prior to the construction traffic that's going to go on, our streets are 19-foot wide. The code is 26, okay, if you're not going to have a sidewalk. And we have neighborhoods that have that 26, correct? Okay. So, as for the traffic study, yes, there was a traffic study, like MJ said, and it was done in February, and it took 2 hours. School was closed, so, okay, they can put as many pages as they want, maybe, but they didn't do a pedestrian traffic study. And this is what our main concern is. Our neighborhood is used tremendously by other people. Wheeling has apartments at the end of Maple, townhome apartments. We got people coming from Wine Tree. They walk their dogs because it's a nice neighborhood with a big just loop. So that's one of our real concerns. And just to say that there was a traffic study done, and we talked about it already, that we can't talk about it now. It wasn't done the right way. To the commissioners, I think there's a few new, maybe 2 or 3 new ones here. We're neighbors, all of us. We live in the same town. We bought in Prospect Heights because it was a semi-rural area. We can't have the things that other towns that Arlington and Mount Prospect have, but we know that. The mayor's newsletter exactly said that. He agrees. I agree 100% with the mayor. And yet we got a big argument because this deal had to go through. I was asked to meet with Mayor Helmer before he died, God rest his soul, one-on-one. And he told me, first of all, he thought there was only 15 people against us. You see who's here? Okay, and this is February. It's hard to get people. You don't go outside a lot. They came because they're concerned. All they can do is ask the new commissioners, and maybe the ones that have been here already and saw this firsthand, first time around. Give us a little respect. We're not the enemy. I would believe that any one of you, if you lived in our neighborhood, would feel the same way. I'm the one that brought up the sidewalk to 83. I went to Wheeling High School, and ever since, it's just wrong. Wheeling has their sidewalks, but they're broken up. Not in front of Blue Woods subdivision, then Wheeling has it, and then you get to our neighborhood, there's no sidewalks. I know you talked about it. Can I ask you a question? That was supposed to be done separate of this development. What's the status of that?
The sidewalk was originally part of the benefactors to this. The city has decided to move forward with try to assemble grants and try to get it done before the subdivision, or before the TIF district has the money to pay for the sidewalks.
Okay, that's a little confusing to me. I just want to double check. My wife went to a meeting that they were going to get a grant to put the sidewalks because they put sidewalks at the other schools, and this was one that was...
And the city is pursuing that. The city has already engaged the city engineer to try and pursue, to do design, phase 1 design, which is necessary to do grant applications. Just because you do a grant doesn't mean you get it. Okay, so that is going on presently.
Okay.
Okay, so that is something to try and improve the neighborhood going on. But if that doesn't come to fruition, one of the public benefits of the TIF district stated was to take any proceeds surplus that are left to do the sidewalk, and the city would just pay for the sidewalk to the school. Okay, that was how it was it was presented. That's how it was agreed to.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but so the grant issue, that is in process and that might come through? Because we were told 2025, 2026 at the latest.
At this point in time, the engineering is done. There's been no awards of any grants for the sidewalk improvement on the north end of Elmhurst Road. They're pursuing it along all of Elmhurst Road to try and connect the existing sidewalk down by Andover all the way north. Okay. That's been publicly stated. That's been highlighted in city council meetings. Director Roscoe and city engineer Strahan have presented those documents a number of times. But that's not part of the discussion related to this approval.
And the idea that we're just going to pick up from where we were, the problem with that is we have new people. Probably 15 have moved from the neighborhood. And some of them exactly for this reason. They got so worked up, they put their house up for sale. So maybe it's a better idea that we start over because there's new members, at least 5 right around that area on Drake Terrace and Oak that are going to pay the brunt on this because of the extra traffic. So maybe it would be the best is to start over. They have the data, they have the engineering, but just to jump in front of the line, because in Lexington, Nate, are you guys getting paid from them for any of this? No money. Okay, that's good, nice of you. The other thing is, you know, when we went toe-to-toe with Nate, it was Lexington. We had no doubt that they could pull this project off. We all know Lexington. We've heard of it. I think Rob Roy, did you guys do Rob Roy? Okay. We know We know nothing about this new company. In fact, I hate to say it, you just Google them, and Better Business Bureau gives them an F. Lexington got an A+ for
Not
rating.
accredited.
I mean, I don't know the validity of exactly of that, but it's a red flag.
Well, please ask them then.
Pardon?
Ask them the question. I mean, they're here. That's what, my understanding for this meeting is, I know, so lots of residents came in because you don't like the idea of this project, right? You didn't like it in the beginning, you don't like it today.
Well, like it's, I don't know.
Well, okay,
like
or you
is
don't
even-
agree with the project. Let me finish.
Has
but-
it ever been done before?
Gentlemen, could you let this gentleman finish, please?
Excuse me?
I can handle myself, thank you. So we've gone through this project, we've gone through this process once. City has issued approvals to Lexington. Now, a new builder comes in, this is a chance to ask this new builder, are you able to do what Lexington has promised
And
us?
is that your responsibility or is it my responsibility?
This is the responsibility of the meeting. So my responsibility is to host the meeting.
Okay.
And I open the meeting, I close the meeting. You get the chance to speak, everything gets recorded, all the commissioners get a chance to speak. So we can ask the new developer, are you up to the task? As I understand it, Director Peterson has stated, zoning has been done, all of these things have been done, so there's a process to all of this. We can't just change the process.
Can I ask you a question about the well?
About the well?
Who owns it?
Actually, no, I wouldn't be able to answer a question about a well. It has to go to the city engineer.
But it's part of the whole thing. Another question, okay. First of all, who owns the well? Who will own the well?
You need to direct that to the applicant.
Excuse me, Mr. Drake, when you ask the question, can you please direct it to the microphone so I can do the
Okay.
minutes correctly when this is over? Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to take one at a time with your
Okay.
questions, and that's what the chairman was trying to tell
Sure.
you, is you've got some questions, and we're here to answer those questions. And for those who say that there's no point in this meeting, it gives you the opportunity in a live setting, unlike the last time, because of COVID, so you can ask us questions. So this question is, who's going to own the well? And the answer is that the homeowners association is going to own the well like it was proposed before. Okay.
Well, it wasn't proposed. It was proposed at Prospect Heights. I have the documents.
Prospect Heights was never going to own the well. We established a backup SSA as part of the covenants and restrictions that should the HOA get defunct, that we can place a tax upon that to go out and secure an operator to operate that well. The city has never agreed to take over their well. It's a private well, like the private wells in your home.
I'm just going off what I read, and maybe you know the original document.
Sir-
That was your recommendation?
Hey,
from
Mr. Drake?
Lexington?
He needs to speak into the microphone if he's going to speak.
No, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Do you want me to go get the document, the letter that talks about the recommendation for Lexington that there is no other way because Wheeling wouldn't supply the water, and that unless Prospect Heights, who can get revenue out of it, they talked about it's a revenue plus to own the well. And I'm scared of me because I'm just saying, well, shouldn't there be a referendum? Because the whole city is.
Let's make it clear, this is testimony, I'm under oath. The homeowners association is going to own the well, be responsible for the maintenance, and if we need to add another condition and make that as clear as possible, we will do it. But there is no intention to saddle the city of Prospect Heights with the maintenance of this well. Okay?
That's good to hear, but.
Good, I'm glad.
But originally, that was a recommendation.
Well, it's just not, there were a lot of things that were talked about, maybe, I don't even remember talking about trying to, it was a non-starter with the city to ever take over the responsibility of this well. Okay. Do you have some other questions for us?
No, not for you, I don't think so.
Okay, well, that'd be for our whole team.
Any for me?
I don't know anything about you, so I was, what am I gonna ask you? Are you legit? You must say, yeah, I mean, I understand.
Can you address your comments on our negative reviews, for example, on Trustpilot or?
Hey, you gentlemen, guys,
To the microphone.
it's not a private conversation. You got to take the time, please.
To address the point that you made on our Google search, we did start off as an apartment developer, and we still are, very much so. We have 100 units still in Wheeling that we own and operate. And unfortunately, tenants are tenants, and they do write things and leave reviews when they feel that they, when something does happen. We are ramping up our construction operations, and if you would like to visit our site in Wheeling, I'd be more than happy to show you. Our capabilities are solid, and we're able to deliver this project. We're doing one exactly the same size down the road.
Okay. A question for you then. If Lexington couldn't make it work financially, how are you guys going to make it work?
That's a great question. So, due to the nature of actually being smaller, we're afforded more oversight in the design process. We're able to find the margins in other places where Lexington has to answer to shareholders, and they're a much larger entity. We're actually confident that we can deliver a better product than Lexington under these conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Under your theory that people have a right to sell their home, and you guys, if you're presented with, the zoning board is presented with a plan that meets the code, then you have to pass it. That, in theory, somebody could come in and buy 4 homes in the middle of Prospect Heights subdivision, tear them down, and put a 5-story building up with R2 zoning requested. Well, they could request it, right? Isn't this what happened here? They requested a rezoning from R1 to R2.
The R1 is of 5 acres, okay? The school property, the R1 was an R1, 5 acres with a special use to operate a school. That's how that property was established. So when you go through and the owner sells the property and the next applicant comes in, the size of it met the standards for an R2 rezoning without any subdivisions, without any assemblage of land, and they have the right to seek that. The applicant also went under a thorough review to the comprehensive plan, which I testified to and stated at the meeting. It met the conditions of the comprehensive plan. The actual variations, if it did not have a planned unit development, would have been only a 5.6-foot side yard separation, not a 20-foot separation. The distance between the balconies on the homes would only had to been about a 2-foot variation versus a 9-foot variation, and then farther northern side front yard variation would have been allowed to be at 20, not 25. So the rezoning, by going to this planned unit development, put more restrictions on the development to give more space to the adjacent property owners.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. But there's no roads anywhere. The developer who wanted to put it across from Rob Roy, there was 4 acres, I think, for sale, right on Camp McDonald Road. And the people rose up and said, no way, and he walked, supposedly, from the article I read. So the issue isn't about the building codes of the structure they want to put up and how much acreage it is that there's no road to it. This is what's so unique about it. You guys put it at Roberts Avenue in Blewett subdivision. You guys familiar with that?
Very, very much so.
There's a gate between the apartments in Wheeling and Blewett subdivision. There's a gate that you can only go through certain hours because they recognize. I talked to the mayor about this. He says, yeah, I wanted to put a gate up for this, but
that gate was required by a court order.
So anyways, I'll leave it at this. Commissioners, like I say, we're neighbors. And just because somebody proposes something doesn't mean that you have to approve it, because the potential problems are huge. The deep well, we could get our wells at our level, drain into it, contaminate it, and we're concerned, that's all. And I think if you live there too, you would be, you know, so I can just leave it at that. Be honest with you. Seems like this is a done deal, and that's sorry. I'm sad. I'm sad.
So to address the previous comments, I just asked the attorney if we could put in a condition in the approval process to check the validity of the traffic study. So that's something that the applicant would have to, I'm not sure what the mechanism for that is or how they would take place, but maybe that's something that could be added as a condition.
A pedestrian study.
Second, please.
A pedestrian study. The traffic study only did a study on vehicles. But our main concern, you know, you're taking 69 family homes in this size of putting it in an area this size, and it's just, it's
Again,
almost
I'm not an expert on traffic studies, so all I'm saying is that maybe that could be done.
We can get the traffic study updated to verify pedestrian traffic. There's no pedestrian traffic study, it's just a traffic study, but we can have KLOA specifically say, how would you address pedestrian traffic in this study?
Okay.
And we can potentially ask them to add that on there.
If I could just clarify, that would be something that we would prepare and present in connection with final plan development approval, that we will have to come back here.
Right, no, this would be a condition for approval.
Of final plan development. Well, I mean, basically, are you saying we have to wait until we get that traffic study? Right? Because we haven't done, this is a two-step process.
So the attorney is correct, it's a multiple step. All the approvals were preliminary. What the preliminary approvals gave them the right to seek the permit for the well, seek closing on the property so that they could go to the next step. And all those other issues would have to come back when they start putting pipes in the ground for sewer. With all those other engineering details and site details, it comes back for a final plan and final engineering. This was all approved on a preliminary so that the project could go forward. And we can add that condition of a reevaluation as part of that final approval.
Okay, but then, if the pedestrian study was purposely left out, and now you find out that when they do the study, they say, well, wait a second, this is not safe. You've already approved the project, so what are you going to do now?
I'm sorry, sir, I do want to stay civil, but we didn't purposely
I'm not accusing anybody if it was.
Excuse me, sir. So one of the things, the young lady who spoke about the traffic study, or maybe it was another lady, said that we did it during the winter. What KLOA did is there is this Institute of Traffic, ITE, I get the acronym wrong, which looks at facilities like the school and using the historical traffic generation from other similar uses across the country, it generates a number. And so that is the number that they use to compare to a comparable development or what the ITE predicts for this development. And that's how it concluded that there is more traffic that's coming from the school during the peak hours than from this development. So we can have them, if that's the sense of the condition, just update that. And we don't have an objection to their recommendations on traffic safety that we can implement into this development agreement during the construction season. So we are amenable to that condition.
I think on the traffic study, I remember reading it back in 2000, because that was a concern that I had then too. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I remember it was 252, that number sticks out to me. That was the number, if Jolly Funhouse at their peak was a full school, how many parents are coming to pick up and drop off on a daily basis, was the basis of the number, which in general is the number they should use, because that's what you design for. If someone's coming here for a school tomorrow, Jolly Funhouse was coming in, and this was vacant land, that's a number we would use. What is your peak number of cars you coming in and out here? So when this development comes in and they say, look, this is what was peak before approved, and now this is what our traffic would be based on that, it was slightly less, not by much. This is off of memory, it was slightly less.
Was the school open at that time?
It doesn't make a difference if it was open. You understand, sir? The question is, if the school was running in its peak what would the traffic be? That's what they based their number on. Whether it's open, closed, winter, summer, doesn't make a difference. What is their peak use?
Okay.
So now they'll verify what's the peak use of the townhomes. And whether it's
So-
December, January, February, March,
So
whatever.
we're comparing it to when the school was open,
That's what,
and
Yes.
what the worst would be, and then
Yes.
and now compare it to what it'll be with the 6-9 townhomes.
Correct.
Okay. I have an affidavit from Ms. Bowie that said traffic complaints were a constant problem. People complained all the time about traffic. So this isn't a new issue. It's going to be maybe just as equal. but
Was
once
that,
again-
when did you have to get this affidavit? When was this affidavit ever submitted?
yes, it was one of the exhibits. Ms. Bowie provided that to the board. It is in the list of the original exhibits.
I
So
guess
it's
the
not
point
new
of it-
evidence, though.
Pardon?
Unfortunately, it's not new evidence. So it's not new
I'm
evidence.
bad at hearing, I'm
It's
sorry.
it's okay, it's not new evidence. It was presented back in 2020,
Right.
right? So keep in mind here, this has been proved, and unless there's new evidence that we can look at that says something's changed, and nothing's really changed besides the builder. Now, your one point could have been, this is not a good builder. Lexington was a good builder, we don't trust this builder. We're, in essence, approving the builder today, correct? In essence. That's all we're really doing today. Unless we have some new evidence that suggests what was approved back when this was originally approved, and I understand everyone wants another bite at this apple, but we don't have the ability to, as a board, to say, okay, look, unless there's new evidence approved, shown here, we have to go on what was approved before. That's just what it is.
Okay.
And I agree with you. We're obviously residents of Prospect Heights. I agree with you. If I lived on this street, this would be an honest concern of mine. I do have some suggestions that maybe, based on what you're saying today, I would like to implement, but we're approving a new builder versus an old builder. And I think that's why they have the presentation of the projects they're doing and they're currently done. Me, as a resident, would be concerned if this is a new builder that doesn't have a history of building. And it seems they do have a decent history. It's our city's job to verify this history is correct, but we're assuming it is.
Better be sure.
Agree.
Risk.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
We're talking, it's a big-time project.
Yeah.
And, okay, one more question, I know you're tired of me. And this is to the zoning board. What is the zoning classification R1A mean? It's Prospect Heights, do you even know about it?
Mhm.
I can go get the document and show you. R1A is specifically designed to be a transitional between multifamily and single family, to make it less burdensome and objectable by the single family. Why wasn't that the zoning classification? And if you guys don't even know about it, that's disappointing to me, because this, if you read it, it's in Prospect Heights, it was a comprehensive study when they recommended, yes, we need more multifamily. But they always distinguished the R1A as the zoning classification for just this purpose.
If you look at the R1A zoning along Euclid Avenue, there's the villas at Rob Roy. They're a townhome product.
Fairway Estates, is that
Fairway Estates is another subdivision that's smaller single-family lots that could handle a lot of lots, okay? But
why
there's,
wouldn't this be R1A?
that's not what was asked for, and as I explained earlier, and as I explained back in 2020, that I have actively spoke with national home builders that to come in and do what they need to do to infrastructure there. The maximum number of homes that they could get was approximately 4, maybe 5, in the infrastructure, and they had no interest in doing any work. I spent many years going after to try and get a redevelopment when Miss Bowie first closed Jolly Funhouse. She in turn brokered the property. Lexington Homes was interested. They had the contract. They came in and followed our zoning code and applied for that. There's, Mr. Drake, I don't understand.
Could I just interpose?
Sir, it's not your turn right now. It's not your turn. That's fine. You'll have a chance. You'll have a chance. We'll give you a chance.
The
I'm sorry I'm upset, but you know, this, I've lived here.
To the application.
45 years.
So it's we're straggling from the application in front of us. There are many options in the zoning code, okay? They chose to apply for R2.
And I would think it was the zoning board's responsibility to say, this is the code in Prospect Heights, that this is a better fit for.
This is outside the scope, and you and I can have another discussion about the comprehensive plan, and we have.
Commissioners, I'm sorry I talked so long, but you got to understand, it is emotional. And you gave your little speech to tell us, come with facts, no emotions. I'm sorry, Dan, but you don't even live in Prospect Heights. It's hard, okay? It's hard when you think that your government doesn't even care. Our attorney told us, he deals with this every day with TIF districts and municipalities. He said he has never seen a municipality treat its residents so bad. I'll leave it at that.
All right. I'm Paul Gebert, Gebert, 1105 Drake Avenue, 26-year resident of Prospect Heights. I moved here to get away from the traffic in Morton Grove and Des Plaines. And I was very disheartened 5 or 6 years ago when this all came about. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen of the board and representatives of Nader Capital Services, I have 2 questions for you. The first one is, why isn't your company Better Business Bureau accredited? And why does your company have a rating of F?
Thank you, sir. So, would you like to answer that?
Sure.
And also mention the letter of commitment that you have. Okay.
Sure.
Let's start off by stating that we have a commitment from one of many lenders that we work with. They have reviewed the project as well as the steps to get us there, and they have given us a letter stating that they're committed to provide the funding for the entirety of the project. In regards to Trustpilot and Better Business Bureau, Believe Better Business Bureau, if you're going on BBB.com, it's actually not required for majority of businesses to be registered on there. And as I mentioned before, we do have a number of tenants, and you know, anytime the tenant is unhappy about service, they do write negative reviews. And unfortunately, being an operator of multifamily for so long, we have accrued a number of tenants. If that answers your question.
No, it does not. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I was asking that also. My name is Lordy Bendel. Last name Bendel, B-E-N-D-E-L. I'm at 1104 on Oak. I reiterate that Better Business Bureau is not just one person that complains or 2 people that complain. It's a very serious complaint when you get an F. So his explanation doesn't explain that to me. Also, their license expired last year. So I don't know why they're going through this with that name up there. It's false. I went also to their 370 on Dundee, to their office. There's no office. They are not there. It's empty. So I didn't understand. It sounds like, to me, there's something wrong that should be investigated. The company should be investigated. Those complaints from Better Business Bureau are really serious. And when I can't find their business with their business address, it's vacant, okay? The building is vacant. I don't understand that at all. Can you explain why your building is vacant? You don't have, and you're not even on the billboard. Your name isn't on the billboard with your address.
Sir, I'm at that building from 8 to 6 every single day for the past 3-4 years. We have 4 people that are regularly in that office. I'm not sure when you visited. Could have been outside
Today.
business hours. What
Today.
time? What time, sir?
What does it matter today? It was empty. The building, your 370 is empty. It's not an office, it's fake.
We have cameras.
It's fake.
Okay, sir.
Guys, we have to keep the dialogue to the question at hand. The applicant does have valid permits and licenses to work within the village of Wheeling when I spoke to Community Development Director. We've seen,
And their license stopped last year, not this year.
Which license are you referring to?
I think it's the LLC.
You talking about they're not in good standing with the state?
They have to ask, and I would expect that someone would have run the name of the place and come up with this. It's like, there's over $6 million of taxpayer dollars that's going to go to this. And I think they should be investigated prior to giving them access to this, prior to approving this.
So I quickly did their search on Better Business Bureau. They've been in business for 16 years. They've had,
And haven't done, and it shows that they haven't got a permit since 2017.
Can I finish?
Huh?
Can I finish?
Oh, sure.
Thank you. They've had 2 complaints in the last 3 years, 1 complaint in the last 12 months.
And that gave them an F rating? And
And the reason you get an F rating on Better Business Bureaus, if you have 2 complaints and you don't respond to them, you get an F rating. So
And did you look up the complaints?
I'm looking at them right now.
Investigate the complaints?
And they're both from apartment residents. So as he stated, they're a landlord as well. So it's related to them being landlords, not builders.
And on the other side, I
Because
have,
they're not builders.
excuse
We
me,
don't
sir.
know that.
Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
No, we don't know they're not builders. We know they are building in Wheeling right now. And the commissioners talked to the village of
You mean
Wheeling.
they're managing the money, but they're not really building it?
You don't, you're just making,
And as far as this whole complaint, I looked at this property and I called Tony, whatever his name is over there, he's the broker for it. And it was at $900,000 at that time, and I was interested, okay? He said I had to wait, and then he never called me back, okay? And when I spoke to him yesterday, he said that there was a contract. Okay, I don't know what it was, but I know it's with them. I don't see risking all the millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars on this company. So that's all I have to say.
thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, one more thing. Can I get a show of hands of people that are against this? The last time the planning commission listened to all this, we complained, and there was nobody that wanted it except the builders. But, of course, there's so much money to be made for our town that I know it's gonna be built. But I just think we should have the right builder.
Is there anybody else that that'd like to speak?
Sir, you got to give somebody else a chance, please. You've already been up.
Michelle Knapik, K-N-A-P-I-K. I live at 11 Drake Terrace, which is the corner house, the stop sign, leading into the only street in and out of that complex. My question that I have is, you said that you looked into the water and the sewer of the testing that was done back in 2019, 2020. Was there sewer and water tests to make sure that our wells won't go dry when they put in their own
When they
water?
applied to the EPA,
You've applied?
no.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
When the applicant applies for the water well permit, which they have to go through the Illinois EPA, they have to submit their plans, they have to get their permit before any authorization. So it was stated back in 2020 that once they get the preliminary approval and close on the property, they would do the permitting with IEPA to get all the clearances and have all the tests done. That would have to be reported back to us at the final plan and final engineering. That's what was stated, and that was what was testified to. We would never approve anything until that happens. Similarly to what Spire Building did, or Grandbrier, back when it was done right at Elmhurst and Palatine Road. They put in an 1,100-foot deep well. They had to go through the same processes, get preliminary approval, get IEPA permit, then prove to us that it works. And that's where this left off, because they never closed on the property. So they'll still have to do those approvals prior to any permit issuance from the city. And that will all be, as the Attorney Bernie said earlier, would have to be evaluated by the city engineers and meet the standards and validate what is approved by the state.
So there's a lot more process that has to be done before anyone approves the final, is that what you're saying? There's a lot more process on their behalf to do, and all that work of all the findings that they have to prove to us that our wells aren't going to go dry, our sewers aren't going to get backed up in the surrounding areas before you finalize.
So if you remember correctly, they were given a preliminary engineering, preliminary plat of subdivision and zoning approval with the special use permit to be able to move forward and execute a closing, and hopefully then they would be able to do their final engineering and prove up the well, improve up what the IEPA. The stormwater surface, that was handled because that's a less intensive process than a water system. So it was waiting to close on the property before the expenditures of money. Similarly with this applicant. So there's still a final engineering, and if they meet the state requirements, that's then what we will review, and before we issue local permits.
So their findings then would be considered new evidence?
They would be...
Clarify this, so they have to prove it to the city, not
They
the
have to
residents.
prove it to the city.
They have to
and
prove to
it'd
the
be
city that
public
they're within
record.
code.
It would
They
be
have to
public
prove it to
record.
the city?
Yes.
And then the city gets the final say?
We would, on basis of the permits, yes. It's like, the shopping centers, the new mall on, the new buildings, a couple of new buildings on 12, IDOT stuff, all those get other agency approvals before we can give final approvals.
So then will the information that they get be shared with all of us?
It will be public record, yes.
The requirements of the approval, is there a certain standard that we can look at beforehand? Is there standards for?
There are standards with the Illinois Department of Public, there's an Illinois Department of Public, the Environmental Protection Agency of Illinois, who manages the water operator, and Cook County Department of Public Health are your go-to points to get places to get that information. I don't have that off the top of our head, off my top of my head.
My vote is for no. And everything they said.
Mr. Drake, is there anybody else that has a chance to speak? Is there anybody else out there that has a chance who hasn't spoke, please? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carol Walker. I live at 12 Drake Terrace. Hello neighbors, and thank you to our community members that came out today. I just want to say that I hope this does not move forward. Thank you so much.
My name is Janet Albrecht. I live at 606 Equestrian Drive for almost 39 years now. I had my own business for 20 years doing landscape design and garden maintenance, so I know a bit about horticulture. And to repeat Erwin's, but it's also my thoughts, we were all part of this back during COVID, and we're against this plan and continue to be against. My concern for the new builder, besides everything that's been mentioned about whether you guys are legit or not, I am concerned about that. I'm very concerned about taking all these trees down, and what's going to happen if this goes downhill. If Lexington couldn't pull it off, as other people have said, not to repeat, but I'm just saying, we all have to live there. It's a park. And to what you said, ma'am, no disrespect, but a detention or a retention pond is not green space. It's not green space. And my concern is, if this were to go forward with your company, sir, I would hope that you would come up with a better landscape plan than what is there, because what is there is very deficient, in my opinion. We're taking down a lot of trees at that park, and I think that our quality of life is going to be adversely affected. I walk that park probably 3 times a day for the last 39 years. So I really hope that you all consider this. We do have to live there, and I do have concerns about what if this went belly up and all this is taken down. I know you have nothing to do with the land swap of the Park District. I had conversations with Christina Ferraro. She met me at the park. We discussed it. And, you know, I was very disappointed by that. I did not think they were going to do the land swap. But anyway, that is my concern. And I think anybody that's new here and wasn't here back in 2020, I hope you really honestly review everything thoroughly and realize this is a lot of, you can see how many people came out here tonight. This is affecting everybody's lives.
Did you say that you worked with the Park District to?
I met with Christina Ferraro in 2021 and walked Mirror Park with her and had discussions with her about what I thought was appropriate. Prospect Heights has very little green space, and I think it's reprehensible that the village would be, or this city would be okay with giving up green space to build 69 townhouses. That parcel of land is, I can't even imagine what that's going to be. Not to mention, nobody has said that here tonight, but if it is saying, how long are you anticipating this plan would take, sir, to build that?
Anywhere from, you gotta go up. Anywhere from 18 to 24 months.
Right. So that was what we were told before, that it would be possibly 2 years. So imagine our quality of life for 2 years of that and what we have to endure. So you know.
To follow up on your earlier point, we will follow up with an approved landscape plan after we make it out of preliminary design stages. But I did want to ask, also part of the process in doing landscaping in any municipality is requiring a bond for the plantings to take place.
Mm-hmm.
From the point that we started the project, we're financially obligated to, in a separate vehicle, make those plantings.
Okay.
Second point was, weren't they invasive species? Weren't we looking to get rid of them anyway?
Well, sure, the buckthorn is an invasive species, but those cottonwoods are old growth trees that, yes, many would say, but you know, they're not great. But there's woods there that those people walk through, and it is a little mini wooded area. There's a sledded area that my kids, and maybe many kids here, use that to sled down. That would be gone. So all those plantings there, what it looks like on that plan is a bare detention plot. There is nothing on the east side of Mirror Park that borders Wheelings, Pleasant Run Park that is any form of, to me, acceptable landscaping. It's non-existent, frankly.
Is it acceptable for me to ask a question at this time?
Yeah.
That's not your property, is it though, ma'am? You don't own any of that?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you very much.
Wow.
Excuse me.
That was really good. You just showed your age.
Ma'am, would you like to, excuse me one second.
All right, let's go. You guys, keep it civil, let's go.
Lady in a light jacket, would you like to speak?
No, the light.
No, the light jacket lady.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Anybody else that hasn't spoken yet? We're going to start to wrap it up a little bit. So if there's anybody else that would like to speak, we're getting close to the final chances.
So this is Hardy Sony again, 1150 Honeysuckle, Wheeling. Let me just say my vote is for yes for the redevelopment. The reason I say that is the existing owner at the Jolly Fun House does not live there, obviously. It's a business, it's a closed down business. The owner has not taken care of the property. And we see it. We see it, there are tall grasses growing, there's been dead trees We filed a number of complaints. It has been unaddressed. We've talked to City of Prospect Heights. There has been no solution of that standing water that we continue to face. That creates a problem with the warming. There's been a problem with the mosquitoes. My kids can't play back here. And so are the others. So with this development coming in, there'll be a room for improvement as we see it. You know, clearing the grounds, maybe planting new trees, getting rid of the old ones.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Victoria again. If and when you redo a traffic survey, oh no, second time it's broken. Thank you. We have only 2 buses now, but there was a time when we had 3 buses, and there will be another time when we have 3 buses coming to our house because children and the D23 schools. Our youngest requires a wheelchair ramp to get on the bus, and that takes a lot of time. So my family is responsible for a lot of roadblock at the intersection of Maple and Prospect, and that is not going to change. So I just want to put that on everyone's radar too.
And part of the, like I stated back in 2020, the traffic plan for construction has to be approved, okay? Because there's IDOT roads, there's county roads, then finally our roads. And all that will be published and notified prior to any, and there'll be time to that get out. And if you got to get your child on the bus, you got to get your child on the bus. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I
It's
just
a
wanna make
public
sure
road.
it's taken into account
Mhm.
with whatever updated surveys are being done.
It's a comment and a question for the guys over there.
Let's keep it to the application, please, Mr. Drake. The question, because I'm not, you had a lot of comments, and let's, you know, we are trying to keep it to the point of the application, the question in front of us.
Okay. The person you're trying to reward on this deal is the seller of the Jolly Fun House or whatever. If the records are correct that I see, they've never paid any taxes, and they were a for-profit business. Somebody want to look into that?
All
right,
it's the way it was zoned.
Can I ask a question? The well, are you putting it in first before construction starts? Would that be the plan? I was a builder, so this is my mind, how I think.
All site work and engineering is done before any vertical construction.
Okay, but I mean,
Wells will go in
the
before it's
reason I
first.
ask is, you know, it's tight.
Detention
right?
wells,
Okay.
site work, grading, everything is first
Little well
before.
house, that's
I believe
for the
that.
last design I saw. It's inches away from Wheeling's condominiums. I mean, it's really right there on the corner, on the curb.
I'm unfamiliar, I'll have to
How long-
review, but
Do you know how long it takes to put in the deep well?
I'm unfamiliar with wells. I'm not an
And I
engineer.
talked to the head of the Schwab Builders and he said 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
That's a lot of noise, a lot of stuff. I don't know how you treat Wheeling's units, which are right there. Both goes in and it turns. The well house is going to be right there, and their condos are right there. It's just something to think about. And last thing, construction traffic, they got to take the soil out. They can take the building down. It's going to be a lot of trucks. You're going to, instead of destroying all the streets, I hate to say this from my fellow neighbors who live from Oak to 83, but ruin one road instead of all of them.
Again, as you were at those, you heard those online, they do have to have a construction, it'll be regulated of where that goes. They will be required to have road bonds like we do with every construction project, and they will need, if it's determined that the road has been damaged past its life capacity, they'll be responsible for bringing it up. That's the standard with all the projects we do. Thank you.
Hi, Meyer again. I wanted to ask about the well. Is there any kind of a guarantee that if it drains our resident wells, we will have water? Where are we going to get our water from if you drain them?
Did you say your name's Myra?
Meyer. Last name is Meyer.
Oh, Meyer. Oh, hi, Meyer. There's condition, I think it's condition 13, that we have to have our well information reviewed by the village engineer to confirm that it is not going to affect your wells. So that is a condition that's central to this development, one that you and others have spoken about, in which we are addressing. So we are going to convince not only the IEPA, but also the village city engineer that there is not going to be an adverse impact on your wells.
And what if there is?
Well, there's certain engineering, the gentleman, Mr. Patel, can tell you, but engineering is pretty certain. And the engineering by the city is going to be darn certain that that's not going to happen. So that's, I think that is a good guarantee that you're not going to have an impact.
The issue comes down more succinctly is the IEPA will never issue a permit for a well if there is a concern that it would negatively impact the surrounding wells. We saw that with the senior housing building at Elmhurst and 83, which is closer to residential folks there. There was concern about dirty water. There was concern about loss of volume. There was concern about loss of pressure. None of that ever was substantiated because in the design and the construction of that well was in a deeper aquifer that was 1,100 feet. Most of the residential wells are between 250 and 125 in this town. Some are even shallower than that. So we don't know yet because the design has not been done, and they'll have to submit that to the IEPA. So there are state agencies above us that have to give blessings before it even comes here, and their job is specifically to ensure the safety of the water.
Does the electric company know that you're going to be taxing the grid more by having these 69 units there? Is that going to raise our rates because now there's more demand on ComEd?
I can't imagine that the ComEd can't handle 69 more units in this area. I mean, it's a huge system. So it's got nuclear power plants, it's got gas power plants, it's got solar, it's got wind. It's not going to affect your energy. Well, that's another. Thanks, Mike.
Is there any new, yeah.
Anybody else? Final call? Yes, sir.
Thanks.
No.
He can review, he can review. No, it's across.
Nate Weinsman, this might be actually the last time you see me, but we do have a vested interest in the development of this property. We are not the applicant, we are not the petitioner, but we have a volume of work product that was created here. And I was up here and I took all these arrows a few years ago and I heard all the same complaints and questions and concerns, and some of them might have been adequately addressed, some may never be to someone's satisfaction. But as a builder, and the inability for us to execute this at the time we were able to obtain all these entitlements is a disappointment for us. But just speaking as a builder, without a dog in the fight, I am familiar with what they're building, and the 16 units that they're building in Des Plaines is probably a $8 to $10 million development. The northeast corner of Milwaukee and Dundee, the old Cole Taylor Bank that I'm sure we all drive past on a regular basis, is a residential mixed-use redevelopment that's I'm just going off of what my experience is, probably a $30 million development, maybe more. The 66 townhomes in Wheeling at Milwaukee and Lake Cook that we all drive past, that you see the units being built. And again, that's probably a $35, $40 million development. I don't throw those numbers around lightly. We don't as a company. We are a bigger operator than them. These are significant developments, and this will also be a significant size development. And so I take Ombridge as a builder and a developer, because we get questioned all the time as to whether the veracity of what we do and who we are as a company, and whether there are complaints about us that go back. We've been in business for 50 years. We've built all over Chicago, over 45, 50,000 homes. This is, everyone is a reinvention of the wheel. And whether it's 10 million, 30 million, 40 million or more, these are significant investments, significant risk. And so to that end, I would challenge all of you to, go take a look at those developments and consider yourself, like what kind of risk goes into, putting your equity, your sweat equity, which we've put a lot into, but your actual monetary equity and risk, and the guarantees on your bonds, the guarantees on letters of credit, the guarantees and liabilities related to the TIF district, to your debt structure with your lender. They're all subject to personal guarantees. This isn't monopoly money. This is real money. So to that end, I would challenge maybe some of the characterizations that have been made here. And not that I have an interest in the petitioner's business, but I'm in their business. So thank you.
Thank you.
Can you just make a quick closing comments? Very short. It's gonna be
Yes, sir.
2 minutes. Is that all right? All right. Just to bring some context to this, again, we're just asking you to reinstate something that's already been approved, that a previous planning and zoning committee has found met the standards for preliminary plan development approval. The land is not a park. At some point, it's going to be developed, and at some point, traffic's going to be generated out of this land. And as Dan has pointed out, under its present zoning, it would not be as nice a development, as compatible a development as what we're proposing. There's also something else going on here, and I apologize to the lady if you were offended by the young man. And you're right.
Well, I felt disrespected, I'll just say that.
Okay, I apologize. Being even older than.
Well, no, I'm just saying that I've done this for a living for decades, so I do know what I'm talking about.
So thank you.
That you
I apologize. I'm sorry. So there's concern about the trees, but there's also concern really from the same people over in Wheeling about their detention facility. And so we are managing that, and something that didn't get said, but all these detention issues are going to be reviewed by MWRD, and Mr. Patel, I'm sure you realize it's a very rigorous review as well. So there's tons of benefits in terms of the Park District. They are going to get right off the top $897,000 under the current agreement, and that's probably going to increase due to our agreement with them. We're putting hundreds of thousands of dollars of in-kind improvements, the parking lot, the detention pond that's going to serve them, and $397,000 towards the park improvements that are shown, with another $500,000 going to them to be used for their park purposes. So like the last Planning and Zoning Commission recognized, there are substantial benefits from this. And I really appreciate Nate's comments about Nieder, and they really are worth reflecting on as a fellow developer. And we appreciate the people that are here. Nice to meet them firsthand. We're sorry that the young lady was offended, and we will bend our ways on that. But thank you very much, and I'd appreciate it if we could get a positive recommendation with perhaps a couple of conditions, as the chairman has suggested. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. If there's no other public testimony, I would like a motion to close the public hearing for case number 26-03 SUPUD at 9:24.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kiefer.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Mashewski. Commissioner Patel?
Aye.
Commissioner Seaver?
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons?
Aye.
Chairman Kempa?
Aye. Okay, so I have this gives us a chance for the board to ask, for the board members to ask any additional questions to the city or to the city attorney, and we get a chance to speak between us. So now would be a good time to ask those comments. I do have a couple of items for the attorney, but I'll go last. This is about the conditions.
So I just want to verify with Director Peterson that that there are no substantial changes to the character of the PUD. We've never really talked about the PUD. We talked about, how we negotiated this originally and how we worked through a lot of these comments, and I just want to make sure that there are no substantial changes to what was approved.
The plan that was finally approved by City Council included the change of the driveway, and that was done to address the potential deficiency in parking spaces that the park had a concern about. It did not change the impact on the subdivision, so that was the only change that was made, and it then opened up a greater area for field space on the west side, northwest side of the park.
So what you're referring to is this?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I have some issues. So I wanted to know, so is the purpose of this meeting tonight to, the special use was discontinued?
Correct.
Not one, it discontinued in 1 year, that's our current ordinance.
Correct.
So not 2 years, not 3 years, not 5 years, am I correct?
The applicant, Lexington Homes, was diligently securing all the agreements up through 2023.
Okay.
And then after the final agreements were done, a couple months later, we were notified that the deal did not go through. So the 2020 approval, they had asked for an extension, were granted an extension. They kept and met the other deadline dates on the other approval, so they were working diligently to do that. When the owner of the property did not, and Lexington did not execute, we tried to find other similar type projects and it went over a year being not valid. The city never went and pursued any other actions at that time, nor did the Park District. They left all those agreements in place because they were the basis of the TIF district. Neater then came this fall, early winter, and to revive the same application. So from the city standpoint, it was not an overly extensive length of time, but according to the zoning code, it did basically lose its validity based on the time frame.
Right. So per our ordinances, it's a dead deal. It's opportunity lost. Unless we agree as a board today to extend it. Okay. And then I have a question. So is this, Mr. Neater, or the gentleman from Neater, did you buy this subject to this, or do you already own this property? Because we were talking about risk, or one of your attorneys was talking about
We're
risk.
under contract, so we're subject to.
Subject to,
Yes.
okay. So you didn't buy it and now you're risking all this, because I just wanted to point that out. That was just it just hit me when he said, when we were talking about risk. So
Yes, that's correct.
Right, so you're minimizing your risk.
And Councilman, just to be clear, something that has been addressed with Mr. Bernie, there is still in place a redevelopment agreement, which Lexington Homes is a party to. So when we talk about risk, there is something that's not directly tied to their purchase of the property. Lexington Homes is still a party to the redevelopment agreement. So Lexington Homes in reality is still bound to the city for everything that has done up until this point. And the goal of this would be essentially for Nader Capital to take Lexington's place. So when we do talk about risk, I do want to just be clear, that's outside of the purview of this board, but there is additional documents in the form of the redevelopment agreement with the city that already exists and continues to operate, where Lexington is still in place, and the procedure would be, once these approvals are made, that Nader would then take the place in that redevelopment agreement where it would be secured with the city through the redevelopment.
So Lexington is being compensated, or they're not?
No, they're not. They're not being, so the redevelopment agreement is what Lexington has guarantees and promises to the city as the developer. So those guarantees and promises are still technically enforced pursuant to that redevelopment agreement. If and when Nader Capital receives the approvals to purchase the property, then there will be a formal process by which the city council would remove Lexington Homes from that redevelopment agreement and place Nader into that.
I understand that, and I apologize. I don't know. I wasn't here last time. I don't know what our role is. You know, I don't want to overstep anybody's boundaries. It just, millions of dollars were thrown out as risk, and it just kind of, so that was all I had. I just want to make sure it was subject.
Before you said it, one more question. Your Wheeling project that you currently, when is that expected to be completed?
Which one?
The Prairie Park.
We've got 2 buildings up, which is 16 units. We're, doing it in phases, so another 1.5 years, most likely, and we'll be done with the whole thing.
Okay. Your Des Plaines one?
Des Plaines is closing this month.
Closing month,
Yeah,
and
we're
Downers Grove?
done. Downers Grove is under entitlements. We're submitting concept as of now.
You're far away from Downers. How about the other Wheeling project?
It's, we're started on the apartment units upstairs. First floor, we have 3 commercial tenants who are all fully moved in. We should be delivering within 8 to 12 months as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Director, I have
a question. Regarding risk and Lennox Homes, once they pass on the entitlements to Nader Capital, so then their Lexington Homes is free to go?
Correct. Lexington Homes, Lexington Homes, as far as the redevelopment agreement goes. Now, there are other potential agreements that they have, they're entertaining, but with respect to their obligations to the city.
Okay, follow-up question. We have some guarantees in place with Nader Capital that guarantees that they will, in good faith, finish the project as scheduled. And if we have like bonds, checks and balances in place?
That will come upon close, because then we'll have to add them into the redevelopment agreements and to the other agreements where those guarantees are established. So it's part of a process. You got to do A before you can get to B.
Thank you.
And then, could I finish, Director? So I had I was just thinking about, because it's such a long time, and I'm thinking, what's changed in our lives in 5 years? There's been so much change. Materials have changed, prices have changed, building codes have changed, FEMA certainly has changed. I know that Director Peterson's working with me on trying to get something out of a FEMA, out of a flood zone. Water tables have changed. You have a different board here. You have a different mayor. You have a different city council. You have different homeowners in the area. So a lot has changed over that time, and I was listening to a lot of, all I did was listen. This is the first time I'm speaking, and some of the words that were coming up, you were saying it's the same, it's the same, it's the same. And I kept writing down words that I was hearing from the builders and the lawyers, and it was a lot, it really didn't sound to me like it was gonna be what it was. I heard, and I'm just gonna give you some words because I wrote them down: renegotiation, evolve, renegotiation, discussions have changed, land swap, park district, hopeful, deviations, evolve, if I didn't say that one. I don't know, it just seems to me like, I just don't see why we just can't, if they have what they have, why they can't just do it without getting it extended from 4 years ago.
The process then would be to start at the beginning. They would have to do all new engineering that would, for their development, which would be a match. It'd be, you're looking at probably $1 million worth of land development for a similar project in a similar state, which could be, however, with the redevelopment agreement, the establishment of the TIF district, with the establishment of the other IGAs with all the other taxing bodies, those would all have to go out the window, be renegotiated, restructured, and that is a time, and the issue that Mr. Weinsma stated earlier is that the landowner got skittish on the amount of time it took. It took them from the time of ordinance approval in 2020 to early 2023 to get those other agreements established. And I've got the resolutions and ordinances here tonight to show that they worked diligently to get to that point. And so with the contract, there are very, and they've testified, they've got some, the commitments they have to make to the owner. And one of them is getting entitlement under the sales contract. And as we did vet them, we did check with other municipalities. I talked to the building code officials and their development folks, and there was not a negative response back. We did get a letter of commitment from their funding, who is a legitimate financing agency. So from a city standpoint, they met the check boxes to move forward, and they have a valid signed contract with the landowner to move forward with the project as is.
If I was, wanted to build a single-family house in an R1 district, and I gave you the plans, and then life got in the way, and I came 4 years later, 5 years later, would there be another planning review or?
Yes, and this review, when they get to the point of issuing building permits, there is no guarantees on the building permit cycles. At the time Lexington came through, we were on the 2012 edition of the IBCs. We just updated to the 2024 edition, so the building codes are going to be tougher that they're going to have to meet. Some of the engineering standards have gotten tougher, and that's all part of the final development plan. What has been approved gives them the opportunity to move forward with the knowledge that they have control of the property before they expend the resources that they don't have a right to on that property. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Commissioner? Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, so the questions that I have is more for the Director Peterson and the attorney. If we want to add conditions, the first condition is pretty self-explanatory, that the all the other exhibits for the 69 units are grouped into Group 1 exhibit for this case. The second one was the traffic study. How do we want to, and this is also a question for the commissioners, do we want to make that a condition? Make something about, I don't know what it is, but something about the traffic study a condition.
I think, but I don't remember the traffic study from 5 years ago, but I think we should at least ask that the traffic study be verified that pedestrian traffic was accounted for, or if not, have it updated for pedestrian traffic. I think that's fair.
I'm not sure if pedestrian traffic is a term in traffic studies. It is? Okay.
So I think that's fair. I think also.
But is that done on a preliminary basis or on the final basis?
Typically, it's done on the final basis. So if that is not technically a requirement at this point based on what's before the board, but the board can put that additional condition that would be required for any final approval and permitting.
Are we okay with that?
So
Okay.
there was actually a discrepancy in the information that we got on page 6. It said that Nader Capital Services had commissioned a traffic study to assess the traffic conditions in the area. But then on page 10, it said that Nader Capital Services will utilize the previously commissioned traffic study. So I think that needs to be clarified, and if I think that it should be something that's more updated. So I think it should be a condition that they do an updated traffic study.
For a preliminary?
So part of the PUD, and I'm not sure if this was just typographical or because there's a couple of spots in here. Maybe, Ms. Schofield, if you could answer a question on the preparation of the narrative. Because a lot of the language is very similar to the original, in terms of commissioning and then using the existing. Could you clarify how this got prepared?
Yeah, and I apologize if there was a misunderstanding in that. We're taking exactly to keep this in true alignment with the previously what was approved. We did take the initial application and tried to replace with the new applicant in there to keep everything very consistent. So yeah, that one in particular would have been utilizing the previous traffic study that was commissioned.
So I think that is one thing, that with the time period that's gone on, I think the traffic study should be verified, and if we need to do additional, like we talked about the pedestrian traffic, I think it could be added to them, and it should be verified in some way, because we're trying to, I think ultimately the product hasn't changed, but we're trying to decide what things have changed in that time period. So I think we do need to pinpoint, we have to make sure that obviously the developer is going to change, so we have to make sure he's qualified, and then if there's other things like the traffic that needs to be verified, that there haven't been substantial changes.
I don't know if traffic study is time sensitive, meaning that if we take if the traffic study was that the peak number of residents, for the school, for what a school would be, that has happened in the past. I don't know that the 6 years to today make a difference.
The traffic study would also incorporate traffic counts down Elmer's Road both ways. So in 5 years, if those counts have changed, that could potentially impact
No, that's valid.
the down there. So I think asking for an updated traffic study to make sure it doesn't impact the neighborhood in a negative way I think is a valid, it's a valid argument. It's a valid, because that over time could have changed.
All right, so the condition is that we
Say
need
a
an
new business
update.
opened up, a company opened up down Elmer's, and now we have consumer traffic.
Condition is
Right.
that we need an updated traffic study. That a favorable traffic study is submitted to the city council. Okay. No, to the city council.
Well, yes, that would be at final, so it would be city council before final.
City council is after
Oh,
this.
okay.
So process-wise, this preliminary plan would approval, the SUP to allow it, and the preliminary condition would go to city council for ratification of the validity of continuing the special use. That would give the applicant time to prepare the final engineering, the final documents to validate what they're stating. And so that would be the time frame, and they would have, according to the plan, within 1 year to get all their validations on all their things, and that would be the well permit, that would be the traffic, that would be the storm, that making sure the stormwater, all those things that need to be validated and prepped for final engineering. They would submit all their utility plans within that time frame.
Correct, and what the condition would be, would not be a condition for approval here tonight. It would be a condition of the validity of the special use permit. So if at some point in time, there has not been an updated traffic study provided within the time frame of the life of the special use permit, that special use permit becomes invalid because the conditions aren't met. So it's not that there would be a traffic study that is necessary before this is approved by city council. It's that just like if there's, just like if any other special use or variance, if you put conditions on it, a lot of those conditions cannot be done before the city council makes the approval. The city council would make the same approval if this was approved, with the condition that the traffic study be completed. If that traffic study is not completed, or if it's not considered, does not satisfy what is required, then the validity of the special use would then go by the wayside. The special use would not be complied with, the condition of the special use. So it does not need to be presented next week or next month. It might take some time to prepare, but again, as long as the special use is valid and before final permits and final engineering is done, as long as their special use is being complied with, including the condition they provide it, then they can move forward. If they never provide it, then the special use will not be.
It's kind of similar to they have to adhere to the new building plans if the building plans have changed. So, okay, that makes sense. And the third one that I wrote down here, because there was a lot of discussion about the well being owned by the homeowner association. Is that a fact, or do we need to put that as a condition?
That was a condition of the original PUD, that in the covenants and restrictions, the CC&Rs, conditions, covenants, and restrictions, that the developer would put in a dormant SSA that would then, if the HOA went defunct at some future time, you know, whether it's 5 years, 25 years, that the city had the right to enact the establishment of a tax on that SSA to make sure that all those improvements were done, which would mean in the case of the well, we could go out and secure an operator and pay for it. Then their funds and taxpayers would pay it. We as the city would not become the operator. Same with somewhere like I think Nate, correct me if I'm wrong, the monument sign that was proposed, the maintenance of the detention basin, all those things that had impacts on others are guaranteed by the dormant SSA that is part of the covenants and restrictions and are binding. And that was a key issue of the former Chairman Dash during the approvals.
So this one's already done?
Yep.
Okay, any other comments? All right, since there's no more comments, I need a motion to add the testimony to the public record, as well as replace Exhibit 10 with Exhibit 12.
I think that was already done.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
The motion was at 9:47. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner Mashevsky.
Aye.
Commissioner Kiefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Chairman Kempa.
Aye.
We would take in
Yeah, that's the second. Now I would please like a motion to approve, to recommend to the City Council approval of case number 26-03SUPUD with the following conditions. The first condition is that the exhibits for the 69 unit originally spec'd out for the Lexington project be grouped into Group 1 exhibit for this case 26-03SUPUD, and that an updated traffic study be included for the final approvals.
I just pulled the traffic study. They do address pedestrian in here, so it just need to be updated. So I just looked, they talk about bicycle counts, they talk about walking traffic in terms of all their traffic patterns. It was addressed in here, but we can ask them to update that and make sure that it's checked. And that's.
So again, I would please ask for a motion to recommend to the City Council approval of case number 26-03SUPUD with the two conditions, Group Exhibit 1 and traffic study at 9:49.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All right, Jen, roll call, please.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons.
No.
Commissioner Mashevsky.
Aye.
Commissioner Kiefer.
Aye.
Chairman Kempa.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-1.
All right, so So for the residents, this, now this case goes to the city council. Again, PZBA is a recommending body. City council makes the final call. I encourage you to attend the meeting, and you've heard what was said here today. Again, the process is certain things have been approved years ago. Do we want the new developer to develop his land in our town?
Notice will be posted on the city's website of the next date. I'm not sure if it will be March 9th or March 23rd. It all depends on how fast we can get through all the minutes and all the comments and all the stuff to make sure that it goes forward. So please, if you haven't registered for the e-news notification, look for that. You can sign that up on the website or periodically visit the city's website. It will also be posted on the menu board at the City Hall.
Thank you very much for.
Thank you, everyone. We have a couple more minutes. Take a minute.
All right. Is there any previous application updates?
Excuse me. No, there's not. We are going to have a meeting next month. We do have a special use for a sit-down restaurant, Yemeni Coffee Tea Cafe next door. Pizza Pavia is moving from the front corner to the back and taking the two vacant units at the mall, and the coffee shop is taking front.
Really?
Yeah.
After all the money they put into that build-up? Wow.
It is. No, Pizza Pavia is doing well. They have, winter's been tough. I see limited traffic. People love the patio, but they've closed on Monday nights. You know, their hours of operations have gone. They're still getting a very strong takeout business and a strong lunch business, you know, but it's mainly come in, carry out your pizza. And so they're downsizing their footprint.
Okay.
And a coffee shop is coming in, you said?
Yeah. The applicants are from Yemen, and they've got other cafes in the area, and it specializes in teas and coffees and pastries and light.
Which other ones?
I'll have to look up the application. They would just finalize it today. It's.
Did you say the name?
No, it's Zaira Cafe is what's going to be the name of ours. They've got a couple of other businesses around. They came in today and met the deadline for next month's meeting, so.
Good.
Other than that.
Is that the only one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Any comments from any other commissioners? When is the economic thing due?
May. Look for your Cook County ethics email and make sure you get in, because they do not give you any breaks. They will start charging you money.
Did the email already come out?
Not yet. It's going to be coming soon. So.
I think I just did it.
Yeah, we all just did it, but that's how fast the year goes by.
No, I did it last year, right when I got it, because a couple years ago I got fined. Like,
Can I please have a motion from Neil to adjourn at 9:54?
I'll make the motion. I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?